This is a Dragon Blazer production.
Alrighty, hi guys, how are we doing? Welcome back to Unsolved Comedies. As always, I am your host, Kizea, and we have the co-host and an extra today. Stefan is the co-host. And then we have the lovely PWA host,
Pro Wrestling Apologist podcast. And I don't have a dumb way to say my name. I'm Craig. I don't know. It's just Craig.
He's the
Craig
Craigster.
Atkins.
He's the Craigster.
Yeah, Craiger. I've gone by many names, but today I'm just Craig.
All right.
Unsolved Craig.
Unsolved Craig.
A mystery yet to be solved.
Alrighty, guys. So if you watched our last one, then you guys will know that we're talking about Casey Anthony today. That fucking bitch.
America's sweetheart.
I can't. I'm sorry. Steven sounds really unenthusiastic, and that's how I felt. That's how I felt doing the research for all of this, was Steven's level of enthusiasm just there. So you guys are going to be extremely close to my face because I had to take my phone off of the tripod because I'm going to be reading some things.
Right, let me check. Nope, no boogers. You're good. You're good.
Are you guys ready to hear about the Casey Anthony timeline? This is not a very in-depth. It's not very in-depth. It's literally, I think it's, let me look at it real quick. It is an ABC News article. Shout out to ABC News for putting this article up there.
ABC, always be chillin'. That's what it stands for.
But we're going to talk about the timeline real quick. Just the timeline that they have up here, and then I can delve deeper into some parts if I need to. So the last time that Caylee was seen, there is some debate if it was the 16th or if it was the 15th. Everything that I watched from Stephanie Harlow and I think from Kendall Ray as well all said the 16th. June 16th in 2008 was the last day that Casey saw Caylee alive, or Caylee was seen alive by anyone outside of Casey. But the ABC News article that I'm reading says June 15th. So I'm going to go with June 15th just because it's the most accurate. Like I have a piece of information literally to read from a news source right here that says June 15th. She leaves her parents' house and drops, apparently, according to Casey, which is not a very good fucking source, but according to Casey, she drops Caylee at Zanny's house or Zanny's apartment for her to watch for the day while she goes to work. Now, we all know that Casey wasn't going to work, and we all know that she wasn't dropping Caylee off at Zanny's.
No,
so,
because there is no Zanny.
I mean, there is a Zanny, but Casey, it's not Casey.
There's no Jamaican Zanny.
There's no Jamaican Zanny. Now, I'm going to come back to... So there is one thing that I want to make a point of real quick. Between this point, which is June 15th, and the next point, which is June 30th, Casey lives like a teenager. And at this point, I think she's close to 21, if not 21. Or no, if Kaylee's 3 and she had Caylee when she was 20, then she'd be about 23. So she's living like a teenager at the age of 23. Already a problem. Okay? And then Casey like leaves her car somewhere, and she leaves her car there for 30 days. I don't know exactly what happened, but she ran out of gas. And she had been stealing gas from her dad and borrowing money for gas from her friends and taking money for gas from people she knew. So, like, she had been using every way that she could to get gas, but unfortunately, she didn't have any money, so none of them were legal avenues. So she ran out of gas for the final time, had Tony come pick her up. If you don't remember from the last podcast, Tony is Casey's boyfriend.
Yeah.
And Casey has Tony come pick her up and just leaves her car there. And one of the things that's worth mentioning and is going to be important later is that Casey's car is not in Casey's name. Casey's car is in Cindy's name, her mother. Cindy owned the car because Casey, I guess it was the car that she got when she was 16, and it was like a 98 Pontiac Sunfire. So it was an older car even back then. And so it was in Cindy's name. So she drives this car until it's fucking out of gas. She decided that she's going to, like, she was supposed to go to, I don't know, she was supposed to go out of the country for something. I remember hearing that. Like, my mom bitched about that like her daughter was missing and she was going out of the country, but she never actually left the country. I don't know where she went, but she went somewhere, or she was supposed to go somewhere, and she didn't actually go. And when she didn't actually go, she had used her friend's car the whole time that her friend was gone. So she just left Cindy's car in a parking lot. She left Cindy's car in a parking lot, and she was using her friend's car. And at this time, also, we're back to stealing money because
Yay.
she stole her friend's checkbook. Her friend was like, yeah, like, okay, so they all went to this place out of the country. I'm not sure where, but all of her friends went to this place out of the country, and her friend, I think her friend's name was Amy or something, and she told Casey, hey, you can use my car, because originally Casey had just said it was going to be a couple of days until she got there. And so Amy was like, hey, yeah, sure, you can borrow my car just until, you get here, and then when you get here, just leave it parked, and then we'll all have a way to get home. Didn't fucking happen like that. Casey never went out of the country. Instead, she was draining her friend's bank account because her friend had trusted her to leave her checkbook in the glove compartment of the car. And so Casey found this checkbook, and she went to Target. Like, who fucking does their grocery shopping at Target, first of all? Fucking nobody. That's who.
Hey, there's Targets that have grocery stores. When I was out on vacation in Colorado, we'd stopped into a Target that actually had like a full grocery store setup.
I bet you money it was more expensive than Kroger or Walmart.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely
why?
true.
Why?
When you got Amy's money, what's it matter?
She got that funky money.
She got,
and I'm sure the whole time she's doing it, she's cooking up. Okay, what do I tell Amy? Zany the nanny stole her checkbook. That's what it is.
Well, and it's just weird because even the shit she bought. I remember I was in the middle of watching Stephanie's video because I couldn't find any articles on this. This is all straight from Stephanie Harlow's video, and I remember watching it, and she was listing off the shit that Casey had bought, and it was Eggo waffles, fucking straws, whipped cream, bologna, lunch meat.
Couldn't even make real food. There's no responsibilities.
I'm why?
Can't watch a kid. Lazy food.
She spent $200 at Target, and then according to Stephanie's video, she went back the next day and bought the exact same shit a second time. Eggo waffles, paper straws, lunch
Man,
meat, like
$200 of
bread.
Eggos goes a long way. That's a
That's
lot
a
of
lot
Eggos.
of Eggos.
Let go, my Eggo.
I remember sitting there, like, I've watched Stephanie's video like 7 times at this point, and it started 2 years ago. Like, when she first released these videos on Caylee, I remember watching them, and every time I watch it, no matter how many times I've watched it, I've watched them like 7 times at this point because I love Stephanie Harlow, and every time I watch it, when she lists off what Casey bought, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why are you buying this shit? Like,
It's like the
I mean,
stuff if at 13 years old you gave me $200 to buy groceries, I'm like, sweet, Eggos, I'm gonna get a Captain Crunch, let me get some like Hot Pockets.
yeah, that's like, it's
Ramen
literally what she
noodles.
bought.
I
And
get
I'm just
so
like,
many ramen
ew.
noodles with this.
Like, I remember one time I was sitting at my grandma's house watching that particular part of Stephanie's video, and I had this fucked up, screwed up look on my face, and my grandma was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I was like, fucking Casey Anthony, that's what's wrong with me.
Like an adult's gonna go buy some like chicken breast, you know,
Pork chops, maybe some
some
bratwursts.
yeah.
I mean,
$200, that's a pretty
hell.
good grocery budget right there. So you're getting
I mean, hell, like,
you get
Steven
splurge
buys,
a little.
like, mahi. That's what Steven gets. Like, fish and... What else do you buy when you go to the grocery store, Steven?
Lots of broccoli.
Lots of broccoli. There's no broccoli in there. Like, so I wonder if she was, like, feeding this
It
shit
is
to
it is a
Caylee.
very maybe, but I guess it is food for a child. So if it's not for her child, it's also for the adult who has the mind of a child. And I think we've pretty much established that she does.
Right. So, okay, I wanted to make a point that she has stolen money. She is lying to her friends. She is, at this point, also lying. Like, she's made up stories.
And she has terrible grocery practices.
She has bad grocery practice.
Which might be the most egregious thing. Yeah.
Steven's like, I don't care that she killed her daughter. I'm upset about the Eggos.
A lot of Eggos.
A lot of Eggos.
A lot of Eggos. But, like, she's lying to her parents because her parents at this point, like, they're, like, at this point, by the time that Casey's car gets towed, they're like, hey, we haven't seen our granddaughter in fucking months, right? Like a month at least.
At this point, jeez.
Well, it was a month, or close to a month. Like, they're like, can we fucking see our granddaughter, please? Like, we've been helping you raise her. We do everything
I went that
for
long
you.
without FaceTiming with my mom, she'd probably be like sending the police to go make sure my daughter's okay.
She's like,
You gotta see your grandbaby.
Like, so of course, obviously, and this is, like, you gotta remember, they didn't have FaceTime back then. Like, Casey Anthony's phone was like a Nokia. Like, that's the age that we're talking about here. When Nokia and Motorola were the 2 biggest phone makers in the entire country. So I thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah, it's so long ago, right, Steven? It's like it doesn't even feel like it was like ever real, right?
Yeah, that's right.
It doesn't feel like that was like when I was around 30 or something.
Old ass bastards. So, like, I think even at some point they called her, like, for the 4th of July, and they were like, hey, do you want to come watch fireworks? And she was like, oh, sorry, Zanny has Caylee. Like, she just kept saying that Zanny has Caylee. Zanny took Caylee to Orlando. Zanny took Caylee to North Carolina. Zanny took Caylee to Tampa. Zanny took Caylee to another place that she doesn't need to be. Like, so that was just her thing, when she was like Zanny the nanny. And finally, on, let me double check with my article here, but I believe it was, okay, so June 30th is the date that the article gives, and that's when Casey's car is towed. So her parents have not yet found the car. This is just when the car is towed. So this is just when the car is being taken to an impound lot. It's being taken to a place where they charge by the day to keep your car there. So Casey's car gets towed. And I think it's there for 2 weeks. I'm going to double check my article, but I believe it was there for 2 weeks. Yes. So July 15th, Cindy finds Caylee's car. Well, actually, it's George. George finds Caylee's car, or Casey's car, and he's like, "Oh," he gets a letter, and the letter says, "Hey, we have this car in your wife's name, and we need to get the money from you at this point. Like, either you pay us for the impound shit, or you don't get your car back." And he seriously looks like he's sleeping. I can see you on my screen. Are you okay?
Me?
Steve.
Oh, Steven. They say you gotta make sure he's breathing every once in a while.
Hi, Davey.
Check his breath.
It's
like when I check the
waved.
baby monitor for my daughter. Every once in a while I just look to just make sure her little belly's going up and down, make sure she's breathing. You gotta do that with Steven. You gotta get a baby monitor for him, really.
Well, okay. So where was I at? I think I was at a point where Casey's car had just been found. So George gets this letter and he goes to pick up the car. And they're like, "I'm sorry, the car's in Cindy's name. We can't release it to you." Which makes sense. That's what I think the way most impound lots are. And he calls Cindy and he's like, "Hey, I found Casey's car. Can you please come get it? Because it's in your name." And this is when Caylee is officially reported missing, is this day. June 15th or July 15th. And they find Casey. They find Casey at Tony's house. And I'm going to actually let Steven play the video that I sent him, which is the 911 call between Cindy and whoever the 911 dispatcher is. There's 3 phone calls to 911, and we're going to see the progression of those. So, Steven, if you want to go ahead and play that for me.
Please, this sound is being recorded. How can I help you? Thank you. Hello.
Hi, I drove to the police department here on Pershing, but you guys are closed. I need to bring someone into the police department. Can you tell me where the closest one I can come into?
What are you trying to accomplish by bringing them to the station?
I have a 22-year-old person that has grand theft sitting in my auto with me.
So the 22-year-old person stole something?
Yes.
Is this a relative?
Yes.
Where did they steal it from?
My car and also money.
Okay, is this your son?
Daughter.
Okay, so your daughter stole money from your car?
No, my car was stolen. We retrieved it today. We found out where it was at. I've retrieved it. I've got that, and I've got affidavit for my banking account. I want to bring her in. I want to press charges.
Where did all of this happen?
Oh, it's been happening.
No, but I need to establish a jurisdiction is what I'm trying to
Oh, I lived in Orlando.
Yeah, but what address did these thefts occur at?
Well, I guess my residence, I guess.
Okay.
4.
That's actually going to be in the jurisdiction of the sheriff's office, ma'am, not the Orlando Police Department.
All righty.
Let me transfer you over to the communications section for Orange County.
Okay. Now, is the Orlando Sheriff's Department the one on 436, is that open this afternoon, this evening?
The substation you're at on Pershing, if it's Orlando Police, we're open primarily during the day.
Uh-huh.
But that's not the sheriff. That's the city police, which does not have jurisdiction for your
I
address.
know there's a sheriff's department on 436.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer you to the sheriff's communications section, and you can determine that. Hold on.
Okay. Because my next thing will be down to trial thing, and we'll have a court order together. If that's what you want to play, we'll do it, and you'll never. Well, then you have on one day. No, I'm not giving you another day. I've given you a month. All right, Senator.
pause that for a second, just 1 second.
Okay.
So that was the end of the first phone call, and you can hear right at the end there, she says, my next thing is going to be getting a court order so that I can get Caylee, and you'll never see Caylee again. Because at this point, Cindy is probably starting to realize that her daughter is lying her ass off. Her daughter does not know where Caylee is, or if she is, for some oddball reason, does not want to tell them where Caylee is. So I just wanted to point that out. I didn't know if you guys heard it, but she said, because my next thing is going to be getting a court order for Caylee, and you'll never see her again.
Oh, that's nice.
So, oh yeah. Go ahead and play through the next phone call if you'd like.
All right.
911, what is the address? What's happening? I have someone here that I need to be arrested in my home.
They're there right now?
A possible missing child. I have a 3-year-old that's been missing for a month.
A 3-year-old?
Yes.
Have you reported that?
I'm trying to do that now, ma'am.
Okay, what did the person do that you need arrested?
My daughter.
For what?
For stealing an auto and stealing money. I already spoke with someone. They said they would patch me through the Orlando Sheriff's Department, have a deputy here. I was in the car. I was going to drive her to the police station, and no one's open. They said they would bring a deputy to my home when I got home to call them.
So she stole your vehicle?
Yes.
When did she do that?
On the 30th. I just got it back from the impound. I'd like to speak to an officer. Can you have someone come out to my house?
Okay. Okay, I gotta ask you these questions so I can put them in the call, okay?
Okay.
30th of June?
Yes.
Okay, how old is your daughter?
22.
Okay, what's her name?
My name?
Her name.
Her name?
And you said you have the vehicle back?
Yes. And I have the statement.
She's there right now?
Yes, I got her. I finally found her after a month. She's been missing for a month. I found her, but we can't find my granddaughter. 5'1.5".
Thin, medium, or heavy build?
Thin,
Color hair?
brown,
What color shirt is she wearing?
white,
What color pants?
oh, they're shorts. They're plaid. They're like pink and teal and white and black plaid.
Does she have any weapons on her?
No.
Is she not telling you where her daughter is?
Correct.
Okay, we'll have a deputy out to you as soon as one's available, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
911, what's your emergency? I called a little bit ago. The deputy sheriff's not here. I found out my granddaughter has been taken. She has been missing for a month. Her mother finally admitted that she's been missing.
Okay, what is
here now?
Okay, what is the address that you're calling from?
We're talking about a 3-year-old little girl. My daughter finally admitted that the baby's in the store. I need to find her.
Your daughter admitted that the baby is where?
But the babysitter took her a month ago that my daughter's been looking for. I told you my daughter was missing for a month. I just found her today, but I can't find my granddaughter. She just admitted to me that she's been trying to find her herself. There's something wrong. I found my daughter's car today, and it smells like there's been a dead body in the damn car.
Okay, what is the 3-year-old's name?
Caylee, Caylee, Anthony.
Caylee Anthony?
Yes.
Okay, is she white, black, or Hispanic?
She's white.
How long has she been missing for?
I have not seen her since the 7th of June.
What is her date of birth?
8, 9, 2000. Oh God, she's 3. She's 2005. So it's Caylee missing. Caylee's missing. Casey says Danny took her a month ago. She's been missing for a month.
Okay, I understand. Can you calm down for me for just a minute? And I need to know what's going on, okay? I'm gonna try and tell. Is your daughter there?
I'm on the phone with them.
Is your daughter there?
Yes.
Can I speak with her? Do you mind if I speak with her? Thank you.
I called them 2 hours ago. They haven't gotten here. She finally admitted to Danny took her a month ago.
Ma'am.
Okay, Danny's here to talk. They want to talk to you. Answer the question. Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Hi. Well, can you tell me what's going on a little bit?
I'm sorry?
Can you tell me a little bit what's going on?
My daughter's been missing for the last 31 days.
And you know who has her?
I know who has her. I've tried to contact her. I actually received a phone call today, now from a number that is no longer in service. I did get to speak to my daughter for about a minute.
Okay, did you guys call and report a vehicle stolen?
Yes, my mom did.
Okay, so there's been a vehicle stolen too?
No, this was my vehicle.
What vehicle was stolen?
It's a 98 Pontiac Sunfire.
Okay, I have deputies on the way to you right now for that. But now your 3-year-old, okay, your 3-year-old daughter is missing. Caylee Anthony.
Yes.
White female.
Anthony. Yes, white female.
3 years old, 8/9/2005 her date of birth?
Yes.
And you last saw her a month ago?
31 days. It's been 31 days.
Who has her? Do you have a name?
Her name is Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez.
Who is that? Babysitter?
She's been my nanny for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years.
Why are you calling now? Why didn't you call 31 days ago?
I've been looking for her and have gone through other resources to try to find her, which was stupid.
Okay. Can you give me the name of the nanny again? Like spell it out for me?
Zenaida, Zenaida.
Last name?
Fernandez. Hyphen Gonzalez. I think the officers are here.
The officers are there?
Yes.
Okay, hold on a second. Don't hang up with me yet. I need you. Okay.
So now that we've listened to those, there's one line in there that I want to focus on because it's the first mention. We hear this a lot in the Casey Anthony case that everybody says that her car smelled like a dead body. In the phone call, and you guys will be able to hear it, and you guys listeners will be able to hear it, I'm sure. But she literally says, "We found my daughter's car today, and it smells like there's been a dead body in the damn car." So that's the first reference that we see to the car smelling like death. But we see a whole bunch of different, like, cops say it. Casey's dad says it, and Casey's dad was a cop. So if anybody's gonna know what a dead body smells like, it's gonna be an ex-fucking cop, right?
And these are parents at this point that have they have no clue that their daughter was involved in this. So they're trying to,
right.
The
other thing that I want to make a point of is that Caylee was 3 years old. Caylee was incredibly small. Literally, the clothes that were found with Caylee's body were size 3T. And I don't know how long it's been since either of you guys looked at 3T baby clothes, but I fold 3T baby clothes almost every day when I go to work. And they're fucking small. They're small. They're itty bitty, teeny fucking tiny. So I think like when you hear the panic set into Cindy's voice, you have to remember that that's the size of a child that we're talking about. Is literally like the clothes she's wearing is 3T. She's not even in real girl clothes yet. She's in baby clothes still.
Yeah.
Right.
So later that night, after these phone calls are made, police get to the house. They search Casey's car. They search the house. They talk to Casey. They talk to Cindy. They talk to George. And they talk to Lee, who at that point is at the family home, Casey's older brother. They talk to all of them. And when they finally talk to Casey, like literally you can hear how fucking annoyed she is in the 911 call. She's like, my daughter's been missing for 31 days. And they're like, why didn't you call us 31 days ago? And she's like, well, I was trying to find her myself. Like, she just sounds like her party got completely ruined. Which is, I think, the biggest reason to me why I honestly think that Casey had something to do with it. She just sounds annoyed. She sounds pissed off. She's like, God damn it. I was having the time of my life.
I don't even think that's a question. I think we all know she did.
But anyway, later on, after all of this shit with the police happened, like the police take Casey's statement and they're like, if anything about this statement you need to change, you should tell us, because we're going to look into everything that you've given us. And then tomorrow you agreed to take us to Universal Studios, which is where she's still claiming to work. And, you know, so if anything's wrong, we don't want you to be convicted for lying to us. So if anything needs to change it now. And she's like, nope, everything I told you is the truth. Everything I gave you is correct. Everything I gave you is right.
I work there for sure. I absolutely do. No problem.
And
definitely work there.
So they leave her house and they follow up on everything. They follow up on Jeff Hopkins. They follow up on Zanny the nanny. They follow up on the addresses. They follow up on her job at Universal. And all of it's bullshit. Every single little bit. And they know that. But we'll get into the Universal tour here in a minute. The other point that I want to make is that Casey's computer, her personal laptop that was at Tony's house with her, because she was staying with Tony for most of this time while she was missing her daughter. She had a personal laptop there. In fact, I think Tony said that he woke up one night and found her crying, watching a video of Caylee on this laptop. Well, wow. Everything from July 15th and back, so the day that her parents found her and back, everything from back then, from before that, all of it was deleted. It looked like it was described as if the computer had crashed or been factory reset, because everything from prior to July 15th was missing. But later on, the prosecution does find searches for all different types of things, but one of them specifically includes the word chloroform. And chloroform is used a lot in these internet searches. And this is done on the Anthony family computer. So from now on, whenever I mention the computer, it's the Anthony family computer, because we know that there's nothing on Casey's computer. We also know that Casey is, at this point, she's lied to the cops. She claims that she told Jeff Hopkins that Caylee was missing. She claims that she's been looking for Caylee herself, but there's no evidence of that. She claims that Caylee went missing. Technically, she claimed that Caylee went missing on like the 8th or the 9th originally. And that was wrong, because Caylee was filmed on like the 15th or the 16th with her no, it had to be the 15th. It was either the 14th or the 15th with her grandma at the nursing home, because it was June and they went to the nursing home to see Cindy's father for Father's Day. So we know that a lot of the things that Casey's telling us are not true. So we'll have to talk a little bit more about that, but the rest of this is going to go pretty quick and it's going to suck, because I would like to dig deeper into all of this, but unfortunately it's not going to do any good to dig deeper into most of this. So I'm just going to go through a chunk of it quickly, and then we're going to read Caylee's autopsy report. So the next day comes. This is July 16th now. And the cops are like, hey, why don't you take us down to Universal Studios where you claim to work? Because she's claiming to work there, right? Even though we know she's not. We know she hasn't worked there for 2 years. And I actually just checked my ABC article again. And Caylee actually wasn't 3 when she went missing. She was 2, about to turn 3. She went missing in July and her birthday was a month later. So I wanted to make that point because I was wrong about that a minute ago, but I double checked and I just, wanted to make a point of that. But the cops take Caylee down to Universal Studios, and when they're at Universal Studios, they get there, and it takes a minute because the security guards don't know who Caylee is. So it takes a minute, and then eventually the cops are like, listen, we're just trying to find a missing kid. Can you let us through, and we'll go with her, and it won't be a big deal. And so the security guard's like, yeah, sure. So they start walking through the park.
She's probably like, oh, I can't believe that worked. Man, you got this, Caylee. Killing it.
So they start walking through the park, and according to the cops, according to Stephanie's video, and according to the articles that I read, she aimlessly drags them around Universal Studios for what I think I read was over an hour.
I'd like to think that they're like getting in the lines and like writing all the rides. Like, hey,
yes.
I think we need to bring our investigation over here to the
Harry Potter ride.
The Harry Potter ride.
We need to go into
the Back to the Future ride.
We need to go into Hogsmeade for a second. I swear, it's just a second.
You're saying things Craig doesn't fully understand.
That's why I said Back to the Future.
You're not a Harry Potter fan, you disgusting person.
No.
Can't be friends. Cannot be friends anymore.
I don't care about Dumbledore and wizardry.
I'm a Slytherin, just so we all understand each other. Like, I am full on Slytherin. I'm all the way there.
Slytherin all over.
What's your house, Steven? You never told me your house.
Ravenclaw.
I actually figured as much. Tell us what your Harry Potter house is in the comments of the YouTube video if you're watching it. But we're going to go back to talking about the Universal thing. So they walk around with Caylee for like over an hour, and they're like, they know she doesn't work there at this point. Like, at this point, they're like, we know she doesn't work here. We checked last night. Like, because the night before, they had followed up on all the leads that she gave him, like Jeff Hopkins and Zanny and like everybody. So, like, they know that she doesn't work there. So I can just imagine that Caylee's like, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to get out of this. And the cops are like, is she fucking serious the whole time, right? Like, that's all I can imagine. And eventually they reach this dead end. Like, I don't know if it was a hallway or if it was like a wall or like what it was that she turned into, but they reach a dead end and Caylee can't take it any further. And she turns around and looks at the cops. And she's like, I lied, guys. I don't work here.
Just kidding, guys. We had fun, though, right? Is like a snow cone?
You're on candid camera.
Date right now is July 16th, 2008. It's about 13:20 hours. We're at Universal Studios. I'm here with Surgeon Allen. I'm here with Detective Happy Wells. I'm also here with Caylee Anthony. And Caylee, we talked earlier this morning, and we're working a case looking for your daughter, Caylee. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. We came here to Universal Studios. We're sitting in a little conference room. Obviously, the door isn't locked. We just closed it so we could have a little bit of privacy and talk to you. And a couple more questions came up I need to ask you about. Remember how I opened this whole thing in the morning?
Yeah.
By saying that, we need to get the complete truth and the snowball effect and how it goes? Okay. We're about halfway down that hill, 3/4 down that hill, and it's a pretty big snowball, which means that there's a lot of stuff going on right now. And I can tell you, just for certainty, that everything you've told me so far has been a lie. I can tell you with a certainty, and let me explain why. Since I left you this morning, I've gone to every address that you've told me. I've looked up every name. I've talked to every person that you wanted me to talk to or tried to. I've reached out. I've talked to your ex-boyfriend. I've talked to Amy. I've talked to Tony. I came over here. I've already talked to all the employees. I found out all these names that you're giving me are people that either never worked here or have been fired here for a long time ago. Okay, so where we are right now is in a position that doesn't look very good for you, and this is going to be your escape hatch, so to speak. Okay, this is going to be the point where you stop all the lies and you stop all the fibs and you tell us exactly what's going on. Obviously, I know and you know that everything you told me is a lie, correct?
Not everything that I've told you.
Okay, pretty much everything that you've told me, including where Caylee is right now.
That I don't know where she is.
This right now is this is going so far downhill, and this has become such a mess that we need to end it. It's very simple. We just need to end it.
I agree with you. I have no clue where she is.
Sure you do.
If I knew in any sense where she was, this wouldn't have happened at all.
You
it
know,
wouldn't have happened
listen,
whatsoever.
The stuff about Zanny, the caretaker or the nanny taking care of him,
It's the truth.
it's not the truth, because it went to the apartment complex. There's no person that ever lived there by that name. The apartment's been vacant since March, that same apartment. Now, the apartment that you pointed out to me, the 2-story apartment, that's an old folks home. It's right across the street from your ex-boyfriend's house, who you never mentioned. And you said you wrote the address down because it was across the street. That's a lie, because I've already talked to him, and we've already been by the house, and we've already looked at everything we need to look at over there. Everything you told us is a lie.
You're here willingly, right? You're here because you're here to try to help, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Your whole reason for talking to us is to try to help, right? Nobody's forced you to talk to us, right?
No.
You want us to. You're here because you called. You want us to help find your daughter, right? Put yourself in my shoes for a minute, okay? Since you talked to him this morning in an attempt to try to help find your daughter, you've given him bad addresses, okay? You drove me all the way out here. We walked from the gate back here on the way to your office, right? Okay? To an office that you don't have. We got all the way into the building, into the hallway out here before you finally says, well, I really don't have an office here. But up till then, we were walking to your office, right? Okay, so I mean, does any of this make sense to you?
I understand how well that sounds.
I mean, think about what we've done so far, okay? You say you called us because you want our help, you want us to find your daughter, okay? I'm calling you and I'm asking you for help. I'm asking you to help me find my child that's been gone now for a month, okay? And to help you help me find the child, what I've done to this point is I've given you a bunch of bad addresses to go look at, addresses that don't exist, okay? Then I take you to a place where I tell you that I work, okay? And I walk you past the security gate, okay, on the way to my office that I don't have, okay? You start to get the picture? Or do you understand where we're headed here?
I understand.
Okay? Now, you're, by hiding this, by burying this, okay, you are not going to get yourself to a better place, okay? What you're going to do is you're going to cause everybody else around you to suffer, okay? And then at some point, this is going to come out. It always does. I mean, you're a smart person. Figure it out, okay? So far, the only thing that we can say for sure at this point, okay, is that you have lied to him about all these things. You brought us here, okay? All right? Now, I want you to look at this from an outsider's perspective. Somebody somewhere down the road, we have to decide, how this all plays out. What would you do? How would you see that person? How would you see that person different than you might see somebody, maybe a young mother who made a mistake and, maybe initially was afraid to tell the truth, but at some point came forward and said, horrible thing happened. I'm sorry. I feel terrible about it, but I have to tell you.
The horrible thing that happened, and this is the honest to God's truth of everything that I've said, I do not know where she is. The last person that I saw her with is Zenaida. She's the last person that I've seen my daughter with.
And see, here's the problem. I think Sergeant Allen's trying to get to this, is that we know that's not the truth. No matter how you think people are going to look at you, they're going to look at you a lot worse if you continue showing that you're callous or not caring, and that you just show complete dispassion and disregard for human life. Or they can look at you as someone that, you know what, I can understand. I'm a young mother, or she's a young mother, first child, something horrible happened. She's thinking, oh my God, my life isn't going good right now. I already know my life is struggling. People don't see me in that great of a light. I know I got problems at home, and I've got problems with friends, I know I got problems at work or lack of work. All of a sudden, something bad happens to my child, and people are going to think, I'm just a devil. See, there's a difference between this person who makes a mistake and says, listen, I'm sorry, this is the reason I lied to you, this is the reason I was scared, compared to the person who might sit here and say, I have no idea what you're talking about.
What I've done to try to help him find my child is I've given him a whole bunch of addresses to go to that are bad addresses. That's what I do to help him try to find my child. That makes sense to you?
I took him to the last place that I've seen my daughter. Besides that, I took them to other places that I've
Okay, when you brought us here to go look in your office, that was supposed to help us how? Because everything we're doing here is about finding your daughter, okay? So I want you, okay, to explain to me how coming here to go to an office that you don't have, I want you to tell me how that's helping us find your daughter.
It's not.
But everything we're doing is to find your daughter. That's the most important thing to want to you right now, right?
Caylee's been up here. Maybe we could talk to security to see if she's come through the front. I know she's come to the park. She's gone to Disney. She's been at SeaWorld. She's been at other places.
Let's go back to,
It's
we're here.
Backwards way of
No, it's,
of
you know,
looking.
and why do you think it's backwards? Okay?
Because I've been reaching.
You've been reaching, huh?
I've been reaching to try to figure out a place where she actually is. Honestly, I wanted to come up and try to talk to security. Maybe pass around a picture of Caylee. I legitimately have not seen my daughter in 5 weeks. I didn't let anything happen to her, except I trusted her with somebody. Somebody that had been taking care of her, that had been taking good care of her. Someone that she was comfortable with, that I was comfortable with.
What about Jeff? You said Jeff worked here until about 2 months ago?
No, he hasn't worked here for quite a while.
10 months? How long?
It's been at least 10 months.
Okay. He got fired in 2002. He hasn't been an employee here since 2002. And what about the girl?
Juliet?
Yeah, what about her?
She left 2 months ago. That's exactly what she had told me.
Juliet Lewis never worked at Universal Studios.
We put a lot more together than I think you realize we put together. My question to you is, we're in this office because we got here how? To do what? Our purpose in coming here was to do what? Go where?
I guess there wasn't a purpose. There wasn't a purpose whatsoever to come up here.
And how is lying to us helping find your daughter faster?
It isn't.
Then why would you do that?
But saying I don't know and telling you that I just dropped her off and that was the last time that I've seen her, even starting with that, everybody else is like, well, and what happened after that? That can't just be it.
You remember the phone call you were telling us about?
Mm-hmm.
Is that true?
Yes.
Did you actually talk? What day was it you talked to her?
Yesterday.
You remember what time of day?
Around noon. It was from a private number.
Okay. And what'd she tell you? What'd your daughter say to you?
She said, hi, Mommy.
And that's it?
And she started to tell me a story, talking to me about her shoes and books. And
It's important that you tell me. I mean, maybe there's something in what she said that can help us figure out where she is. What did she say?
I tried to ask her where she was, and she just kept talking about the book that she's been reading. We have videos of her reading the story, and she's telling me the story.
So
Like,
she seemed happy and she seemed happy and
fine.
Seemed fine,
She seemed
happy.
perfectly fine. There was nothing in the background.
Telling you about a book, telling you seen no sign of any type of stress at all?
Not at all.
Great, that's wonderful. Let me ask you a question. Your daughter hasn't seen you in over a month, and she's not.
She was excited. She was excited, to talk to me. But at the same time, it's crazy that she didn't get upset when she talked to me, which had it been my mom, I know it would have been
Is that another thing that makes sense to you?
She never gets upset when she talks to me. It's crazy that she didn't get upset when she talked to me. She never gets upset when she talks to me.
So, I mean, you guys heard it. The cops were just straight up, like, they sat her down in this Universal room, and the cops were just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, you've been lying to us this entire time. We know you don't fucking work here. We know that Zanny doesn't fucking exist. We know that nobody lives in those apartments. We know that Jeff Hopkins isn't real. Like, we know, we checked this shit out last night. What the fuck? And Casey's like, I don't
That's where she
understand.
goes, look over there, and she tried to, but then she was stuck in that dead end hallway, so she couldn't run.
She couldn't run. But like, I just imagine, like, she just, and apparently, like, if I recall correctly, just from when we listened to it a second ago, they were like, how is this helping us find Caylee? And she was like, well,
Yeah.
it's not. And they were like, then why the fuck did you bring us here? And she was like, well, I thought I'd go to places that Casey or Caylee might recognize. And they're like, how the fuck is she gonna get here, Casey? Is she gonna fucking drive here? Is she gonna walk here?
Yeah, she's a very smart 3-year-old. She's got this.
She's got this shit, apparently. So, anyway, the cops at this point arrest her. The cops, this is the first time that Casey gets put in jail because they're like, you're lying and you're, like, I don't know what the technical term is, but you're like setting police on wild goose chase in the middle of an investigation. Like, you're hindering an investigation, or you're like stopping justice from being able to happen. So they arrested her. They put her in jail, and she goes to jail. And like when her bond is set hella high. Like, I think they did like it was over $200,000, and I think it was actually close to $500,000, if not $500,000. So Casey Anthony, like the judge, when they did this like hearing for bond, he was like, this bitch is not getting fucking out, right? And she didn't get out until so Caylee at this point has been missing, I think, for close to, like, by the time the bounty hunters get involved, Caylee's been missing for, I believe, close to a year. I'm going to double check and make sure I know when exactly her remains were found. But let me make sure I got this date right. But I believe by the time bounty hunters got involved, Caylee had been missing for a significant amount of time. So Caylee had been missing for over a month at this point. I don't know why I said a year, because I knew it was just over a month, but Caylee had been missing for over a month, and these bounty hunters are like, hey, we'll pay your bond and find your daughter if you give us the reward money. And, of course, Casey's like, yeah, fuck yeah. And so Casey's like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm into it. I want to get out of jail. So she gets out of jail, and then she doesn't tell them where Caylee is. And they're like, listen, bitch, we only paid your bond so that we could get more money. It was like an investment type deal. Like, there's a I think it was a $200,000 reward for Caylee's return. So they were like, well, like, between the two of them, like, I think there were 2 bounty hunters, and I think they split it down the middle. So really, they were going to get all of their money back for getting her out of jail. So they were like, look, we only got you out of jail so we can make money. What the fuck? And Casey was like, well, I don't know where she is. I just thought that if I was out in, like, the public and out in the real world, I might be able to think of places that Caylee would go. And then she got arrested again.
These dumbasses.
Literally, like, let me pull this up real quick.
They're like, oh man,
Casey,
she got us, guys. Oh man.
So Casey gets out of jail on the 21st. Because one of the bounty hunters posted her bond. She's back in there 7 days later. She's returned to jail 7 days later. It's a couple of days after that, I think it's the next day after Casey's returned to jail, that they come out with a statement. They're like, we're not looking for a missing child. We're looking for a dead body. Caylee Anthony, to our knowledge, is not alive. And, then we get back into it, and Casey gets out of jail again in September, and then she gets put back into jail, and then, that's when she's officially named a suspect and charged with first-degree murder. So she's charged with first-degree murder in October, and at that point, I don't think that they can technically release her from jail anymore, because she's now officially a suspect, and they can't let her leave. And about 2 months after that is when Caylee's body is found. Her body was found on December 11th by a meter reader who, like, he went off to take a piss and saw this, like, he said that he saw a bag and it looked weird. So he shook the bag and a skull fell out. And it was a small skull.
And it's such a high-profile case. He probably just immediately was like, "I bet you that's
Caylee.
Caylee Anthony." Yeah.
And like, you've got to remember, like, let me come back real quick, but you've got to remember that this case, like, there was a huge search and rescue mission for Caylee before any of this even happened. Like, before the bounty hunters or anything. Like, there's a whole company that sued Casey Anthony because they said that they thought that she potentially knew her daughter wasn't missing, and actually she screwed the pooch herself because during the court case, her lawyer was like, Caylee Anthony was never missing. She died at her family's home on this day, right? And I'm not even going to talk about the trial too much because it was just a fucking circus because Jose Baez thinks he's fucking Catherine.
And there's some things that you probably should touch on in the trial, like her basically throwing her dad under the bus.
There's a couple of things I will talk about, but there's not too much I'm going to cover in the court case specifically, outside of like
very interesting
huge
what she did to her dad in that
yeah,
trial.
we'll talk about it. We're gonna talk about it.
Good.
But let me read to you guys a couple of points off of Caylee's autopsy report because that's the point that we're at. So Caylee's body was found on December 11th. I think I mentioned that already. And give me 1 second.
Steven, you want to sing something while?
During this case about a poor missing sweet baby angel child dying.
Just sing that what's that song?
I will remember you.
That's the exact song I was thinking of.
Will you remember me?
What is wrong with Oh, Jesus. Okay, so we're going to talk about Caylee's autopsy report at this point. I do have some pieces here. I took screenshots from it because I didn't want to read the whole thing to you guys. It's 36 pages long and it's just too much information.
Oh, we got the time.
So the first thing that they mention is the cloth letters that came off of Caylee's shirt that she was wearing that day. And the letters would have spelled out big trouble. And I think they were pink and glittery. And they had a discoloration on the back of the letters. That's probably because the area that they found Caylee in had been underwater for months because, like, we all know that Florida has hella rainy hurricane seasons and shit. And that's why when she was found in December, like, she was able to be found. She wasn't probably able to be found before that because they had high waters. So by the time she was found, like, her body had been sitting in water for months at that point. They found a laundry bag that belonged, like, it was a pack of 2, and the other one was found at the Anthony home. The tags on the shirt said small. So that means that it was a small size small pants. Or size small shirt. There was a blanket that was found. It was a baby blanket that was found with the plastic bag. It was discolored. It had stitching around the edges. And it says, although the blanket is discolored and faded, a print of Winnie the Pooh is evident with Piglet writing on his back. This design is present on both sides of the blanket. Multiple fine roots appear to be growing completely through the blanket, which is important because when we talk about theories, there's a couple of theories out there. And we're going to talk about this with the court case as well. So there was also, it says, also received in the body bag mixed with the debris is a flap of somewhat rectangular shaped synthetic stretchy paper type material measuring 6 by 6 inches. It has a stretchy almost appearance and it is stained gray with attached rootlets at one end, and they think that that was probably a diaper or a pull-up.
Okay.
The shorts that they found, it says received in a paper bag, are partially decomposed, multicolored shorts which have pink, green, and orange thin stripes, a pink button on the front of the waistband. A clothing tag has the brand Circo brand, and the tag states 100% cotton 24 months. So her pants were 24 months and her shirt was 3T. The skull was initially received in a separate paper bag with duct tape over the lower portion of the face. And when they say the lower portion of the face, I'm coming back to the video just for 1 second. When they say the lower portion of the face, they basically mean from here down, which is a lot smaller on a child. But if she was covered from here down, will most likely cause of death is suffocation.
The nose down.
Yeah, because the tape covered from here down and from like side to side on the skull. And I believe there was sticker residue, like heart-shaped sticker residue on the mouth. So let me go back to this. The skull was initially in a separate bag with duct tape over the lower portion of the face. The tape was still attached to some of the scalp hair, and a large portion of the scalp hair was in a mat under the skull. The remains were completely skeletonized with no soft tissue, ligaments, tendons, or evident on any of the bones. The examination of the skeleton reveals an almost complete skeleton of a young child with multiple small bones missing. The missing bones include small bones from the wrist and hands, as well as fingers and ankles. And it also says that there was no evidence of trauma on the skull. They also mentioned that it was found in a wooded area on the south side of the 8900 block of Suburban Road in Orlando, Orange County. The remains were scattered within a wooded area and were recovered by the Orange County Sheriff's Office forensic unit starting on December 11th. The overall pattern of the skeletal dispersal is consistent with the body of Caylee Anthony being dumped into the woods at the scene located on Suburban Drive during the early stages of decay before significant disarticulation of anatomical units occurred. Animals then scattered the remains, including moving the trunk with the femora attached as a unit. So just from that, we can tell that the body was dumped there. Animals most likely were the culprits of why the bones were scattered around. They said they didn't think that that was something that the person that dumped it did. And from what I understand, if I'm not wrong, George Anthony said that she was wearing a shirt that said Big Trouble when she left the day of the 16th or 15th, depending on which story you're going with. So now that we've got that part out of the way, right, big bummer.
Really just ruining my day, huh?
I am so sorry. I always hate reading that stuff. Unfortunately, like with the West Memphis 3 case, I actually cried when I was reading about the boys' bodies. I think that unfortunately with this case, I've heard so much and read so much and know so much, and being alive when the case happened, I'm just completely desensitized to hearing about Caylee's body, which is horrible. But at this point, I've heard about it probably a million times, and so it's not as bad to read it, but it definitely is not something that you want to be reading, you know?
Having a little girl around that size, you hear it, and it's a different light.
Right.
So
It's just
like,
crazy.
try
Like
not
you think
to,
about it,
yeah,
she was wearing a 3T shirt, which means it was
yeah.
probably too big for her. And she
Yeah,
was wearing
my little girl is
shorts.
always a little undersized, so she's
Right.
always wearing clothes that are smaller for her and growing into them,
Right. And then she was wearing 24-month pants, which means she was still literally in baby clothes.
Yeah.
Baby clothes. So when they checked the car, I'm going to talk about the car again for a little bit. Cadaver dogs hit on the car. And I don't know if you guys know what cadaver dogs is. They were used extensively in the Madeleine McCann case.
Yeah.
And if you don't know who Madeleine McCann is, maybe we'll cover that story because I don't think that's technically
boy.
child murder. It's just missing child.
Not technically child murder. Oh, geez. Do we have to continue just going straight to child? Terrible
Sure, I'll be
things happen in the
invited for
courtroom.
that one.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
another
Madeleine
child murder case.
Can
Let's
you
get
please
Craig.
invite me for an episode where like some douchebag that deserves it is missing?
Oh, jeez.
But
Okay.
no one would care that it's an unsolved mystery.
The reason I mentioned Madeleine McCann is because her case was one of the first ones that cadaver dogs was used in. I don't know if you guys know that, but Madeleine McCann's case was one of the defining moments for cadaver dogs because they hit on several places in that apartment and they have no clue where Madeleine ever went. So that case made it difficult for cadaver dogs to be trusted. But cadaver dogs did hit on Casey Anthony's car and underneath the playhouse in the backyard. You remember when I mentioned the playhouse that George built her? Underneath the playhouse, the cadaver dogs hit. There was hair found in Casey's trunk, and one of the hairs that was found in Casey's trunk almost positively came from a dead body because it displayed a specific type of death banding that only happens when a dead body, like when a hair is removed from an already dead, now a decomposing body.
Okay.
Jose Baez was hired on July 18th. So literally 2 days after she gets arrested, she hires Jose Baez. And Jose Baez is not well known. In fact, I don't even want to talk about him that much. I don't fucking like the guy. One of the main reasons I don't like the fucking guy is because he was like infatuated with Cochran, the guy that got O.J. Simpson off. Like he would skip school every day when he was in law school to watch the O.J. Simpson trial so that he could like develop Cochran's style. So I already don't care for the guy. Just I don't like the guy. We talked about the body and we talked about that. Now we're going to talk about the trial, which is something that I don't want to fucking talk about. So I'm going to go through this as quickly as fucking possible. And this podcast is probably going to be over soon because I don't like talking about this trial. It's fucking horrendous. Like I remember watching the trial with my mom because it was on TV. And I didn't understand what was going on at the time because like in 2011, I was 11 or 12. So I didn't understand all of what was going on. I just knew that this lady had killed her daughter. But I remember like my mom.
Another fun thing I wanted to add about Jose Baez. He also was the defense for George Zimmerman and Aaron Hernandez.
Course he was.
He's one of these he's one of these high profile awful human
I know what you're talking about.
lawyers.
But he wasn't like that for Casey Anthony. Like when Casey Anthony hired him, he was almost completely unknown.
Yeah,
so
he was literally
this is
made
how
he was made infamous from the Casey Anthony case.
Yeah. So let's talk about the trial, which like I said, I'm not going to talk a lot about because it was a fucking circus, and I don't want to give people like Jose Baez and Casey Anthony, who made the court case a fucking circus, the satisfaction of talking about their fucking circus, because it was just that, it was a circus. I don't know if you guys watched the case, but like I said, I don't remember much of it, but I literally remember there were points, like I remember my mom jumping out of her chair at some point. She was like, "You've got to be fucking kidding me. These people can't be buying that shit."
It was, I mean, we were very young during the OJ case and the craziness there, and it was that all over again.
Yeah.
Exactly,
that crazy media circus all over again.
So let's talk about the elephant in the room. How did the case, how
Steven.
did the court...
Hey.
No fat jokes. We're not fat shaming here.
Yeah, you're a bully.
Yeah, you're a bully, Craig.
Go watch my interview with Chris Hollyfield. He'll have something to teach you.
But the first thing that we're going to talk about is the elephant in the room, which is the story that Jose cooked up for his opening statements, which was that Caylee Anthony was never missing, but she just had drowned in the family swimming pool, and George Anthony had helped Casey cover it up.
Yeah.
Which I don't think actually happened. Do I have any explanation for as to why the cadaver dogs hit in the backyard? Probably because Casey tried to bury the body there, and then when she realized...
my assumption is that she buried the body maybe for a couple of days and then moved her.
I don't think so. I think that she thought about burying the body there and maybe took the body out and put it down.
Okay.
But I don't think that she actually buried Caylee out there, because I think it probably hit her halfway through digging a hole, because she did borrow a shovel from her neighbor. I think it probably hit her halfway through digging the hole that her parents would notice if there was disturbed land underneath Kaylee's playhouse.
Yeah.
So I assume she moved Kaylee's playhouse, laid Caylee down to see how big the hole needed to be, and then maybe somebody spooked her, or maybe she realized that it wasn't a good idea to bury a baby in her parents' backyard, and then picked Caylee up and put her back in her trunk.
Is there really any good place to bury a baby?
I mean, there's not, but Casey probably realized that she was more likely to get caught if she buried a baby in her parents' backyard.
How about we just don't kill babies?
I mean, that would be ideal, but
you guys wouldn't have a podcast.
Exactly.
Well, maybe we could have podcasts on people that closer to deserving to die.
So the next thing we have to talk about is the next part of the circus, and probably the only other major part of the circus that I'm going to talk about, because that's what I'm calling it. I'm calling it a circus. I'm not calling it a trial. It's a circus. Jose Baez. How did Jose Baez explain away? How was Jose Baez going to explain away why Casey didn't freak out and stop partying and go into a major depression when her baby died and the body was disposed of? Well, I'll tell you. Jose Baez claims that Casey Anthony has been hiding her trauma her whole life because her father molested her.
Oh, geez.
Yep.
In the courtroom where her father, you can literally see, her father's sitting, right behind her. You literally see his reaction. And just, they're filming Casey, and Casey's crying, and then they zoom in on George, and they're like, George is just like, you fucking bitch.
He's got this look on his face like, the fuck did you just say?
He literally looks
He didn't look like a man who was finally caught after years of molestation. He looked like a man that was like, this is where you're going to go. This is the depths you're going to go.
This bitch right here.
This bitch right here.
Needless to say, no, it didn't happen. It was just it was just another desperation move, another lie, another desperation move. Who knows if it was constructed by Jose Baez or by Casey? It could have been like Casey brainstorming and saying like, oh, I could say that years of trauma because I was molested, and he's like, go with that. Your dad. Who knows who constructed it, but it was horse shit.
It was horse shit. And I mean, even later on, when the police officers department finally releases Casey's visitation videos, she tells George that he's the most wonderful father and the most wonderful grandfather.
Yep.
So it's just
to
disgusting.
throw her dad under the bus like that. It was just, that's where you realize
It was disgusting.
This woman
frankly.
has no soul whatsoever.
None.
And that's if you had any doubt in your mind that she was innocent, like that should have been right then and there. I'm like, okay, this bitch.
Right. Like I said, I'm not going to talk about it too much. There was character assassination. There was jury manipulation. I'm not going to talk about it. It was a circus.
Yeah.
That's why I said this part of the podcast is going to go very, very quickly because I'm not going to give them the satisfaction of talking about their media circus that they purposely put up.
It's highly publicized enough that it's easy to find all that information.
I'm not going to talk about it because I don't want to give it. I don't want to give them a platform. Like I don't want to put their information out there on a platform that I have. And no, my platform's not very big, but I do take my platform very seriously.
Well, it should be bigger now that you got me on here. I should be bringing in.
I'm the type of person, like the type of people I follow on YouTube and podcasts and even the artists that I follow musically, like they're like, I have a platform. I'm not going to allow my platform to be used for, things like that. And I refuse to put that kind of shit on my platform because I think at the end of the day, it could give somebody an idea. It could give somebody a way to get out of something. And I'm not going to do it because I just don't think it's right. So I'm not going to talk about the case anymore. I wanted to address the two things that I thought were completely horseshit.
What's so fucked up about it, though, is none of it should have worked.
No, it worked because all they had to do was put reasonable doubt. Reasonable doubt, that's it. Reasonable doubt. Yeah. You don't have to convict somebody of being guilty. You don't have to prove their innocence. You just have to prove reasonable doubt. And that's exactly what Jose Baez did. He was like, do you honestly think that there's enough information here to put the death penalty on the table? They should not have put the death penalty on the table because the death penalty makes people uncomfortable. You don't want to decide somebody's death.
No,
you don't. That's a lot of the jurors.
There's even the tiniest nugget of doubt,
But, yeah. Even there were a few jurors that were even like, we thought she was guilty, but just on the off chance that she wasn't, we didn't want to sentence her to death.
Yep.
She's already a grieving mother. We don't want to sentence her to death.
Yep.
So I think it's about time that we jump into theories and we'll talk about a couple of things. And then I think that we'll be good to go.
I think theories is going to be a pretty short segment.
It is going to be hella short, but we're still going to do it because there's a couple of theories like the drowning and there's a couple of other theories as well. So we're going to talk about it. And once we talk about that, we'll be able to finish up. So give us just a minute and we'll jump into theories. Okay, so theories is going to be super quick. It's really the only reason I wanted to even do a theory section because we've really addressed most of the theories is just to kind of explain the theories a little bit more because I think we all know what our theory is. So we've talked so we've talked about the fact that Zanny maybe took Caylee. Zanny, the nanny that didn't exist and wasn't a nanny. The fact that maybe Casey was giving Caylee Xanax and leaving her in the car to sleep and it gets really hot in Florida. Or maybe she overdosed her on Xanax or maybe she overdosed her on chloroform. There's also a theory that Caylee drowned in the family swimming pool. And then we have one other theory that doesn't really theorize Caylee's death, but it does theorize her remains being found. And it's bullshit. I'll start by saying it's bullshit. It was Jose Baez's way of assassinating the character of the man who found Caylee's remains. He said that he took them away because he found them once, which is true. He found them and tried to report them, and the cop that was supposed to go find the remains refused to go in because he said that he was scared. So
with cops.
I don't know. Apparently, so what Jose Baez said was that this guy took the remains away from the spot and kept them. And then when it came time to cash in because his car broke down, He took the remains back to the place that they were originally, hid them there, and then claimed to find them. And that's bullshit. We talked about the fact, and that's why I wanted to read certain parts of the autopsy report, because you remember when I was reading the autopsy report and it was like there were thorns growing through the blanket, there were thorns growing through the bones, there were vines going through this, there were vines growing in the skull. Because it had been sitting there so long, vegetation had actually started to grow into it. So that is bullshit. We know that's bullshit, but I wanted to address it so nobody's like, you didn't talk about this. Like, I did. I'm now talking about it. How do you guys feel about the other theories that I mentioned that actually have to do with Caylee's death?
The Xanax one, I had never really heard that before, and that I think that's a very because I mean we know she was skirting her responsibilities all the time. The idea of her drugging her actually kind of makes sense, and causing the overdose. Yeah, that kind of makes sense to me. I've never heard that one before, and it makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
The one thing I will put to rest is Casey did not use chloroform on her daughter. There is somebody in prison that claimed to talk to Casey through the vents, and another one that was Casey's cellmate. And they both claimed that Casey claimed that she drugged Caylee with chloroform that she made at home. There's a video out there. You guys can go find it. I believe it was done by Oxygen or HBO, where they actually, it's like a whole documentary about Caylee's disappearance, and they go into a lab and try to make chloroform, and it's hella difficult. You couldn't do it at home.
Yeah.
So she didn't use chloroform on her daughter.
In almost any case ever of these like jailhouse confessionals, that it's almost never real.
Yeah. Now,
it's
one
always
thing
just somebody like, yeah, that bitch told me this.
Yeah.
That
Now, I will
bitch said
say
she did it.
this. I will say this. There was chloroform found in Casey's car, but I personally think that's because Casey did leave Caylee in the car for a while, and there was probably decomposition shit. Like they found grave wax in there, which if you don't know is a waxy substance that's produced when, like, as a body decomposes, it starts oozing this shit, right? So I think she realized that she had left Caylee in the car for too long and her body was decomposing quicker than she thought, and she used cleaning supplies, because certain cleaning supplies do have chloroform in them. I don't think that there was actually, like, Casey wasn't actually using chloroform. I think she was cleaning up after she left Caylee in the trunk. What's your top theory, Stephen?
That Casey Anthony is a bitch and should go to the 7 hells.
Okay, I mean that's a theory.
It was
I mean,
Casey
that's not
Anthony.
really.
That's what I'm saying.
That's not really a theory.
I think
it's
we all
a
know
fact,
it's Casey Anthony. I think she's more asking what your theory on
like how she
Yeah,
did it or why she did it.
The Xanax thing makes a lot of sense.
It does, and I've never really, because I've never. First off, Casey Anthony, as we've covered, is an extraordinarily stupid person, and I've never thought of her as a stone cold killer, and I feel like whatever scenario happened, it was accidental.
Exactly.
And negligence of, I don't know if it was like a smothered her to quiet her situation, like she just went over the edge. That's kind of always been my theory, that she just couldn't handle, like maybe Caylee was crying a little too much, and she couldn't calm her, and that she snapped, and that's a horrible scenario that happens. You hear cases of that happening, but the Xanax thing kind of makes sense to me. That's one I'd never really heard, and
it's honestly my top theory. It's honestly my top theory. When I
think it just snuck into my top theory after hearing it.
Well, and one of the things that I remember from Stephanie Harlow's video, which, like I said, I got some information from, is that apparently a lot of the kids in the group that, like the group of friends that Caylee hung out with, did party drugs like Xanax and acid and like all kinds of shit like that.
That decade, like, and it's still to this day, Xanax is a pop, like, that stuff's becoming more and more popular. You know, when I was growing up, it was like kids were getting into cocaine, and I feel like cocaine is less common now than the prescription drugs and the Xanax and the stuff like that. I
Right.
think that's becoming more and more popular amongst kids now,
Right.
and you know, and dumbass young adults like Casey Anthony.
Oh yeah. I mean, honestly, my top theory is that she was giving her daughter Xanax to put her to sleep because she wanted to go out and do what she wanted to do. But I
It's a
also
good
think
theory.
that she loved her daughter very much. I don't think for a minute that Casey didn't love her daughter. I think she loved her daughter. I think that
Yeah.
she loved herself more. And I think that she was like, you know, maybe Casey was like, I want to go to this party, but I can't take Caylee into the bar with me. So if I just give her a little bit
Give
of
her something
Xanax
to
and
sleep.
put her to sleep, then she can sleep in the car. I can go do whatever the fuck I want, and then I'll come back and Caylee will still be sleeping.
I
And
think that's a great theory.
I think maybe she left her in the car, or maybe she left her at Tony's house, or you know, whatever. Like, she might have left her in the car and the car got too hot. She might have left her at
Yeah,
Tony's house and not
So I was
realized
gonna
that she
say
had given her too
it could be the
much.
combination of all of it. It could be the heat, you know, and we're never gonna get the straight answer because she's
Right.
just, you know, because she didn't do it.
I mean, do I think that Casey Anthony is a cold-hearted bitch? No, I think that, honest to God, and the only reason I don't think that, I thought that for a very long time. When I was watching Stephanie's video and she had the testimonial about Tony saying that he woke up one night to find Casey crying while watching a video of Caylee, like, that did it for me. I was like, she loved her kid, but I think she loved herself more.
She loved herself more, which is why it was easier for her to drug her kid than to anything, to find a babysitter, or just, you know, realize I'm a mom now. I can't just go out party all the time. I gotta watch this kid.
She was just selfish.
She was just selfish.
And it's the reason why she was able to throw her dad under the bus so easily. It was just, yeah. She is a cold-hearted bitch. She is, and I think any person, no matter how awful you are, you have your moments of reflecting on what you've done, and so I'm sure she had those emotional moments, and you know, where I could have been a good mom instead I killed my kid, and
right.
I'm sure she had those emotional moments, but it doesn't change. I mean, she the what she did to her dad, that's second to murder right there.
Oh yeah. Well, and
up.
I mean, we all know what my theory is. We all know that I think Casey Anthony killed her daughter. Casey Anthony is the perp, and I'm pretty sure that your guys' theories are close to
I
the
would
same.
say there is not a person on the planet that does not think that.
Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, then do you guys want to plug your socials?
Yes, I will. You can follow me on Dragon Blazer Productions at Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and on Twitter at Dragon Blazer Pro.
All right, Craig.
And you can follow me at PW Apologists on Twitter to find the one and only first ever professional wrestling podcast on the entire internet. Do not look into that too deeply. That is a fact. And you can follow me at Craiger Atkins. I don't want to talk about Casey Anthony though. You can see me talking about politics and McDonald's spicy chicken nuggets, but you're not going to see me talk about Casey Anthony.
I hear ya. Alrighty, guys. Well, you can always follow our channel on Instagram at unsolved_comedies, and that's on Instagram. And of course, you guys can always catch us on Anchor. We're now on Amazon Music and Spotify as well. You can find our podcast there, and you can also find it on this YouTube channel if you're watching it right now.
An
Yeah,
apple.
an apple. Thank you, Craig. And apple.
And apples and the And any fruit you can think of that's podcast related.
And Steven's YouTube channel, if you're watching it on the YouTube channel, whatever it is, if you're watching it on YouTube, please comment and let us know what you think. Did she drug her daughter with Xanax? Did she just kill her because she didn't want a kid anymore? Let us know what you guys think. Thank you so much for listening, though, guys. Have a wonderful evening. Stay safe where you
for
are.
having me.
And
of course.
Don't be on the next episode of Unsolved Murders, people. Just don't do it.
No.
Don't do it. Check out Craig's podcast. He also check out Craig's podcast. He also has Steven on there. So if you'd rather hear Steven in a less depressing light, go for it.
Yes. We just talk about horrible wrestlers sometimes.
It's a little more fun and fancy free.
Yeah, not so much, not so much there's a 3-year-old dead in the woods.
There's a lot less Sweet Baby Angel murders on that show. Yes, that's for damn sure.
Thank you so much for watching, guys, or listening, or whatever, and have a great night.
All right.
All right.
Hey, this is Stefan from Unsolved Comedies. So, if you have any theories on the case that we just discussed, please mention it in the comment section. And also like and subscribe my page, Dragon Blazer Productions. Right there. Right there. Just, click on that. Subscribe. There's a little thumbs up. Like it. Thank you very much.
Hey everyone, I'm Steven from many different podcasts like Drunk Like Me, Pro Wrestling Apologist, The Rage and Blaze Show, and of course, That Got Dark. So, please like and subscribe